So, music, like many things, depends upon timing, for sure. Even listening to music depends upon timing. And for our next storyteller, getting to listen to the biggest musical event of the 60s took the most timing of all. Our next storyteller has lived in Lexington for 43 years. He founded Aligned Visions in Chelmsford, and he has told stories informally, but it is his first time telling it to us tonight. So if you would be so kind as to welcome Mr. Bob Coyne to the stage.
It was the summer of 1969, and 6 of us were going to a music festival. My cousin Chris had secured the use of the family's brand new Buick Electra, and that's the car we were taking to the festival. Then it turned out Chris had to work Friday night till 11 o'clock, and he couldn't get out of it. But no sweat. We'll just drive through the night, miss the early music acts, and there'll be plenty more music after that. By 11:30, we had the Buick loaded with sleeping bags, a large cooler of ice, beer, bread, and bologna, and we were on our way to Woodstock. But we hadn't gone far before the radio began reporting on the conditions there. Heavy rain and huge crowds, far more people than expected. There wasn't enough food, and there were inadequate facilities. And then an ominous voice on the radio warned, if you're on your way to Woodstock, you may as well turn around, because you just can't get there. So, of course, we kept going. As the sun came up, traffic slowed to a standstill, and we were still 13 miles away. The roads completely gridlocked. We hung out and partied with our fellow travelers, and as Saturday began to disappear, we began to despair of ever making it to the concert site. The only place we could go with a car was back in the direction we came. We headed out as darkness set in, but didn't give up, finding a small country road that looked promising on the map. But when we got to within about 4 miles of the stage, there was a state trooper with his lights flashing parked across the road. We backtracked a quarter mile and took one last look at the map. In the darkness, we could actually see our destination off in the distance. The lights from the stage lit up the sky. Then we saw it, a gate to a farm field. As farm kids, we knew that all fenced-in fields had gates for access by tractors and other farm equipment, and more gates for accessing adjoining fields. We opened the gate and drove through. Chris turned the car lights off, lest we attract the attention of a farmer with a shotgun. I sat on the hood of the car and opened each new gate we approached. Chris drove through, and Jimmy Murphy hopped off the trunk and closed them. We angled our way through Max Yasgur's fields, following the light in the sky, not bearing gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, but bringing our beer, bread, and bologna to the sacred birthplace of Woodstock Nation. We came out on the road close to the stage and found a parking spot. We made it to music Mecca. We were in hippie heaven. Joni Mitchell wrote an iconic song titled Woodstock, which went a long way toward capturing the essence of the event. Part of the last verse in the chorus said, by the time we got to Woodstock, we were half a million strong, and everywhere there was song and celebration. We are stardust, we are golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. Today, Woodstock is firmly entrenched as part of our nation's cultural history. There were no arrests. A baby was born. Hundreds of thousands of us experiencing less than ideal conditions peacefully helped each other make the most of the largest, most famous music event in history. I've spent some time reflecting on that period and comparing it to today. My generation was involved in creating a great divide in this country over the war in Vietnam. We protested the war in huge demonstrations against our government, bringing condemnation and accusations of being unpatriotic from older generations. Today's young people also have a fight on their hands. They view our inaction on climate change and school shootings and are building their organizations to make a difference in the world. Just as our battle against an unjust war took many years to develop, their numbers joining the front lines will grow larger and larger. And it's critically important that they receive more support from their elders than we sometimes experience with Vietnam. For while they wouldn't choose these words to compare today with the times of 50 years ago, we once again find ourselves in a time when we've got to get ourselves back to the garden.